Welcome back, everybody. It's a brand new episode of 5 Minute Majors. I'm your host, Derek Harper. Let's dive right in here, folks. The Bay Como Drakkar, they are leading the CHL with 107 points. Their league, the QMJHL, the OHL, and the WHL, 107 points. Pretty impressive. The Saginaw Spirit, they are still sitting second in the OHL's Western Conference, who are hosting this year's Kia Memorial Cup. So we'll see what happens there, how they are down the stretch. One interesting thing to note in this week's CHL's top 10 rankings, we are down to the 4 instead of 5 to WHL teams. Prince George sits number 1 in this week's rankings. Kind of I don't know if it'd be a shocker, but a bit of a surprise there. Portland and Everett are also in it, obviously. That's no surprise. And the Saskatoon Blades. The Blades hovering right around 100 points. So they're kind of second behind the QMJHL's Bay Como Drakkar. But it'll be interesting to see how that shapes up. The Portland Winterhawks have been on a hot streak. Unfortunately, they fell in the Battle on the Sound at the Seattle Kraken's Pledge Arena to the Thunderbirds in overtime. But not to get them down, they are still right on the tail. They've won the U.S. division. They're right on the tail of the Western Conference leading Prince George Cougars. Portland currently sits second in the conference, third in the league, and they're on a great path right now. We'll see what they do. The Memorial Cup's obviously coming up after all the league championship series and the playoffs. The last playoff spot in the WHL's Eastern Conference is still up for grabs right now. I would give the inside track to the Prince Albert Raiders with their Wednesday night game. Easier game. They're going up against the Regina Pats, who are dead last in the WHL's Eastern Conference. Now, the Calgary Hitmen, they are in the mix there for that last seed. However, their matchup Wednesday night was against the league leading and Eastern Conference leading Saskatoon Blades. So, not an easy task, especially in the Blades building. But who knows what happened Wednesday night? So we'll catch you up on that next week. But it's going to be an interesting run down the stretch. The Wenatchee Wild are also gearing up for their last run. They're in their inaugural WHL season. Currently still kind of fourth in the West, and it'll be interesting to see how that shapes out. I still have Wenatchee as a second round team. We'll see how they do there. They have the opportunity to clinch home ice, so that's very good. That'll be very exciting for the fans. We've seen just a lot of excitement coming down the ranks. The Swift Current Broncos, despite falling out of the CHL's top 10 somehow, as well as the Moose Jaw Warriors, they are still right in the mix there in the East. Swift Current second in the East. Moose Jaw, I believe, is sitting in third. I do think the WHL's West is still the stronger conference, but this playoff race should be pretty darn exciting. So it'll be interesting to see how that shapes up. The OHL appears to be kind of maybe the third strongest league out of the few right now. The QMJHL, obviously, with Bay Como, despite them having the league leading, the CHL leading in points, I would give the edge to the WHL still as being the stronger league. Just with the parity in that league. Bay Como, obviously, that monster this season. So it'll be interesting to see how that shapes out. Come Memorial Cup time, you have to think that they'll absolutely be the heavy favorite going into that. However, like we're seeing in the standings right now with Saginaw, they're second in the West of the OHL. So they've seen a lot of success this season. They could make a deep run on their home ice. Will they have their home logo? No, but it'll be their home building. Hopefully, their home crowd in those games, maybe. But you also got to think of one of the factors that they'll have to deal with in the coming seasons. Most teams who load up for the Memorial Cup when they host it, they have to go through multiple years of rebuilding. So right now is the prime time for this club to make this deep run. I still think the champion may come out of the WHL, but Bay Como could do it. We could see a shocker in the OHL maybe. Maybe on home ice, the Spirit defend their building. We'll see. But the WHL in the past, the WHL seems to struggle in the Memorial Cup, even on their home ice. So we'll see how that shapes out. Last year's champion came out of the QMJHL, the Quebec Remparts. And what that also leads to is head coaches leaving for like NHL jobs, as we saw with Quebec's coach. So that's also a factor you have to think about. It's not just the NHL draft, it's coaches too. And that's what this major junior rank is for. It's for building people up, players, coaches, equipment managers, even. So it's really an exciting time of year as the playoffs are starting here. And I cannot wait to see what happens down the stretch. Until next episode, it's been Derek Harper for 5 Minute Majors.